Is BB from clutterclearinglifecoaching.com, and I want to make a short video today about when the odds are stacked against you, when it seems like everything you try to do, nothing seems to be working. You're hitting dead end after dead end after dead end after dead end, going down a street that's just hitting a wall every single time. And every time you feel like there's some light at the end of your tunnel, it turns out to be just another wall. What do you do in this situation? How do you keep your spirits up? How do you keep your energy up? How do you keep your vibrational level up? How do you keep your balance? How do you keep your motivation? How do you keep your five senses all intact and on point and focused? What you do is you get a pen and paper and you write down what the problem is. Write it on a piece of paper. Well, this is the problem. This is like engaging those five senses to accept and see that this is an issue. Because there are certain parts of your brain will take you on a merry-go-round telling you have not done enough of the wrong things. You have not done enough of things that keeps you in failure mode. You have not done enough, that you're sure this part will convince you that it is certain that if you keep doing the wrong thing, you're going to eventually get a breakthrough. Life has taught us it's not quite the case. So when you're dealing with a situation where it feels like you're just going around in circles, you're doing the same things over and over, and you're hitting a dead-end wall, there becomes something called a pattern. You now are accustomed and acclimated to just going around in circles and getting nothing done. That becomes like a pattern. It becomes eventually a lifelong excuse, because you'd rather live in this space of, I know now if I do this, if I do that, if I do this, it's going to lead to failure. Then I don't have to deal with the power of having what I want. So I'm going to do this, I'm going to do that, I'm going to do this. Because you feel, well, if I, some part of you feels if you do this, that, and this, then you're going to have a breakthrough. Then you become what is called unwilling to make compromises with yourself, unwilling to make internal changes, unwilling to make an adjustment in your awareness, just to expand your awareness or add an element into it. That's usually the success element. That's usually the element that brings you what you want, instead of having you just repeatedly doing the same thing over and over and over again and not having success. Because when you do the same things over and over and you're not getting success, the success that you want, then usually you have to admit that you've grown into sort of a pattern. This is hard for people to get. This is hard for people to accept that they are a part of their own decision-making process. They want to feel outside source. They want to feel it's somebody else doing it. They want to feel it's someone who, I don't know, maybe holding them back or want them to stay right where they are. So what do you do in a situation like this? Unless, of course, there is actually someone sabotaging you. That's a different story. We will deal with that in another video. Because this is for us, and breaking patterns, breaking unhealthy habits, breaking unhealthy patterns, and just loosening up our energy to absorbing a new perspective, to absorbing and acknowledging, to acknowledge first and absorb and implement, put into action a different slice of the pie. Different idea, a different way of doing things, just to shift that just a little bit, maybe just a couple of inches, and you'll see great results. Because It's like putting salt in food. Someone once told me about putting salt in food. When you're cooking a dish, it's a good, it should come out really great, and you're putting salt in it. It gets a little saltier, a little saltier. You keep pouring the salt. At some point, it becomes irrelevant how much salt extra you put because you can't eat it anymore. But all it took was one tip, and there's a point where edible and not edible. So it's the same thing. You are doing the same thing over and over, and you're not getting the kind of results you want. You keep flitting from one bad idea to another, and you stay in this stasis of not succeeding at what you're trying to do, not getting any better at what you're trying to do. Because now you're fighting this reality that you just created. You're fighting it. You're fighting this reality. You're fighting it. And you get more enjoyment out of becoming anxious about it. You get more enjoyment in becoming the angst, the agony, the misery that's built into this, because we're all emotional beings. And sometimes it is negative emotions. We get emotional and we tend to think, well, okay, it's, we like this emotion because we like to feel emotions. And sometimes we like to feel negative emotions. So, feel negative emotions when it's becoming predominant. It's becoming like more of the daily routine. Like in a 24-hour day, you feel negative and you feel misery and you feel angst for about 6 or 8 of them. Because you want to finish this project, but you're not willing to see that you can make some changes. You want it just this way, this way, this way, this way. Not an inch to the left or to the right. So you lock yourself into this pattern. And you start to feel all these negative emotions. And then you become quite satisfied. If it doesn't work today, you can beat yourself up at the end of the day. That's your way of punishing yourself, scolding yourself. And then tomorrow we just wake up and start the whole process again. Is it beneficial though? Are you getting what you want done? Is life giving you what you want? You're putting a lot of energy out there. A lot of energy. You're creating a lot of energy within yourself, and some of them are not pleasant, but at least, they're there. But you're not getting anything out of it. It's like putting a whole lot of thought into life. Like imagine life. This is life. Life is supposed to give you what you put out. It's supposed to give back, give you, like if you got the ingredients for a cake, you mix them all up, pop it in the oven, you're supposed to get a cake. But life isn't giving you the cake. What are you doing wrong? Are you missing an ingredient? Are you willing to add a new ingredient? Are you willing to maybe grease the pan? Are you willing to turn on the oven? What can you do differently? What can you do differently to get the desired results? Instead of wallowing and having all this heightened emotional negativity, suffering, misery, longing, feeling bad, feeling like you're not smart enough, or you just will never get the hang of this, or you just don't understand it. And we cover ourselves with confusion a lot. We tend to do that. That shows underneath is a bit of unwillingness to make some changes. Because little do we understand is part of us is now enjoying the angst, this misery of not getting what you want, because it's heightened emotions. We like the heightened emotions. We like the heightened emotions. And then what we do is we tend to enjoy it on a daily basis. But the days turns into weeks, the weeks turns into months, and sometimes years pass, and we're just doing the same thing. And life is still not giving us that cake because we're still not making any changes. So what do you do here is that you write down what you think is the problem, and write down 3 possible solutions that you can do that is within your control. 3 possible solutions that you feel is within your control. Think of the cake. Maybe you need to turn on the oven. Maybe you need to get the oven checked. Maybe the oven isn't working. Maybe you're not putting any yeast in the cake, or baking soda, or whatever you use to make the cake rise. Maybe you're putting too much water or milk or too much oil, or there's no flour in the pan. You're just putting an empty pan. It's like whatever it may be. Always carry this willingness to make adjustments. This is where success lies. Carry that willingness within you to make adjustments, to do what is necessary to get what you want. Down, and 3 possible things that you can do that you think, that might be of benefit to your cake making process. There's not a lack of ideas, not a lack of solutions. There's just sometimes an unwillingness to find them because you really don't want to deal with it. So you put it aside. But that just causes a chain effect or a snowball effect where it starts to affect other areas of your life because you're feeling the absence of this thing you want. You're feeling that loss. And then you start to blame yourself on top of that for not making the necessary changes, for not giving yourself permission to make the changes to do these things. And then that will bleed through in other areas of your life. But let's talk about that in another video. So anyway, write it down, and if you need some help with one-on-one coaching is really, really great. And if you can find someone to help you to sort out whatever it is, give you some great techniques, and have a conversation with you so that he can give you a different perspective, or she can give you a different perspective, or methods of how to cope with this, how to go from being clenched like a fist to being open. And then you will go like this, because nobody can expect you to go from this to this. It doesn't work. You have to gradually open up. That's kind of getting out of that pattern you have. So if you need my help, I offer some great techniques like EFT, it's the Sedona method, Ho'oponopono, meditation with visualization and releasing, all 3 in one, which is a great technique. And my website is clutterclearinglifecoaching.com. That is clearing the clutter at clutterclearinglifecoaching.com. Fill out my contact form and make sure you put your phone number. I will return your call, or I will give you a call, and we can take it from there. If we are a good fit, if it's something that I can help you with, and if you feel you like talking with me and I have some techniques that you can find valuable, we'll take it from there. Until my next video, peace.